The top stories tonight in Y News. The Philippines has logged the highest ever COVID-19 cases since the pandemic started in March 2020.
A group of nurses plan to hold massive protests even after their September 1 rally.
The Private Hospital Association of the Philippines wants PhilHealth circular on the temporary suspension of payment of claims be totally abolished. The United States of America launched a drone attack near Kabul airport. Children among civilians killed in the second airstrike.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's campaign was cancelled over COVID protesters.
Up voice actor Ed Asner passes away. Good evening, Philippines and the world. We are now reporting live from Quezon City. Today is Monday, August 30, 2021. I am Herlene Delgado.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am William Theo.
First in the news. The Filipinos are urged to become heroes amid battle against COVID-19. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte pays tribute to medical frontliners and essential workers. Rosa Licon's details why.
As the Philippines commemorates National Heroes Day, Filipinos are told to take inspiration from the heroes of the past and present, help each other and unite. In a statement, the Department of Defense says through unity, compliance to health protocols, and supporting the government's programs such as vaccination efforts, the community will be protected and will succeed against the pandemic. On the other hand, Vice President Leni Robredo encouraged every Filipino to be a hero during this crisis by helping those in need. She said every Filipino can be a hero by serving in the medical profession, getting vaccinated, obeying health protocols, conveying truth, and condemning lies. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte, in his message, dedicated this day to honor the countless unsung heroes. He paid tribute to the new breed of heroes who answered the call to fight and lead the war against the pandemic, particularly the health workers, uniformed personnel, government employees, and frontliners in essential industries.
As we overcome the COVID-19 pandemic, let us honor our modern-day heroes, our medical frontliners, and our essential workers who sacrifice their lives, comfort, and security to serve our fellow Filipinos. May we all learn from the valiant example of the past and present heroes and build on them to achieve a stronger future for all.
The chief executive said their names will not be etched on any edifice, statues will not be erected in their honor, banknotes will not be graced by their portraits, but they have more than earned the rightful place in the pedestal of heroes. Rosa Lico's UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Health workers from various hospitals staged protest actions today over unclaimed benefits. These groups also plan to conduct series of protest activities starting September 1. Asher Kadapan Jr. tells us why.
The Philippine Nurses Association says that issues in claiming the benefits of healthcare workers will take some time to be completely resolved, even if the government will be able to release the fund for them. PNA President Melbert Reyes explains that the Department of Health should set clear instructions on how the distribution of benefits will be implemented accordingly.
Naniniwala po kami na ang pinakang naging problema ng Department of Health is yung malinaw na guidelines at yung paggabay nila sa mga hospital management kung paano susundin yung mga hinihingi nila para ma-release yung pondo. Kasi parang hinayaan nila yung mga hospital management to interpret the law.
Today, protest activities were conducted by some medical frontliners from University of Santo Tomas Hospital in Manila, St. Luke's Medical Center, and National Kidney Transplant Institute in Quezon City. They call for the release of their benefits, primarily the special risk allowance as stated in the series of Bayanihan Act laws.
Sorry lang yung pinag-uusapan. Paano naman po yung meals accommodation, transportation allowance, and the like. Yung life insurance, hindi pa po nakapaloob doon.
Napakarami pong benepisyo na simula pa po doon sa patupad ng Bayanihan 2 noong September 15, 2020 hanggang na-extend po ng June 30, 2021 ay hindi po natatanggap. Marami pong manggagawa ng kalusugan.
The unions of nurses also believe that politics and lack of sincerity affect the healthcare system and COVID-19 response of the government.
Gusto yung malasakit, pagpapahalaga at pagmamahal sa ating healthcare workers.
With this, the group plans to conduct series of massive protest activities even after September 1, the deadline for their 10-day countdown in their call for their benefits. Filipino Nurses United, however, assure the public that nurses will not leave their posts. Only those who are not in duty will attend the activities. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the Philippine National Police respects the right of the healthcare workers to hold protest actions. PNP Chief Police General Guillermo Eleazar expects health workers to have their own initiative to protect themselves in conducting this mass gathering.
We in the PNP also trust their wisdom and expect their own initiative to protect themselves since the observance of the health protocols is part of their line of work. But our local personnel will monitor this activity.
Eleazar says they will continuously monitor the said activity and their upcoming protest on Wednesday, September 1.
Meanwhile, all workers' unity flocked to the University Avenue in UP Diliman early this morning. They demanded for an increase in salary, scrapping of contractualization, and additional benefits such as hazard pay. They also expressed dismay on how the government is addressing the pandemic and asking for extensive free mass testing, contact tracing, and efficient mass vaccination program. The Philippine Health Insurance Corporation has put on hold the implementation of the controversial circular on the suspension of payment on suspicious hospital claims, but the group of private hospital wants it to be totally scrapped. Ray Pelayo tells us why.
The Private Hospital Association of the Philippines believes PhilHealth Circular number 2021-0013 or the temporary suspension of payment of claims is unfair and a violation of their right to due process. It is the reason why they call on PhilHealth to totally do away with this procedure. Dr. De Grano is also convinced that the circular would literally stop them from collecting claims.
Pag in-implement ito, mawawalan tayo ng due process at saka yung presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Kasi saan ka naman nakakita na pagka binigyan ka ng notice, within 3 calendar days, kailangan sagutin mo na. After that, suspended ka na.
But in the House of Representatives hearing last week, PhilHealth clarified that the circular covers only suspicious claims.
Kung memo na to is blanket hold, blanket for all claims na stop temporarily suspended. Is that this?
Hindi po, Mr. Chair. Para lang yun doon sa bad claims, yung sa rather suspicious na may kalukuhan.
The temporary suspension came after PhilHealth's discussion with the Department of Health and after taking into consideration the issues raised by the healthcare providers. Nevertheless, the state health insurer will continue to look into the issue as part of its anti-fraud program. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Philippines has logged today the highest number of COVID-19 cases since the pandemic started in March 2020. But despite this, the research group has seen a possible decrease of reproduction number in Metro Manila in the middle of September. Janice Inhente details why.
The Department of Health recorded 22,366 new COVID-19 cases today, August 30. Although cases are expected to increase further in the next days, based on the projection of Octa Research Group, the impact of the enhanced community quarantine is expected to be seen in Metro Manila in the middle of September this year.
Nakita naman natin sa Metro Manila, bumababa yung hawaan. Ibig sabihin yung reference number nasa 1.47 na. Dati nasa 1.0. So malaki na rin binaba niya at nakikita naman natin maaaring umabot na siya sa less than pagdating ng kalagitnaan ng September.
Malaking bagay po yung ECQ natin, no, napabagal din. In fact, yung pagbaba ng hawaan, yung reproductive number natin, malaking factor sa pagbaba niya yung 2-week ECQ natin po. So, yung MECQ, sana sustain niya yung downward trend sa reproduction number.
Meanwhile, the research group added that the reproduction rate in Cebu City has also decreased. According to experts, the restrictions implemented by the provincial government of Cebu as well as their hospital management have helped a lot. Meanwhile, other provinces still have high cases to date, such as Cagayan, Ilocos Region, Pangasinan, Cavite, Laguna, Rizal, and Bulacan. Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippines today recorded another record high of 2,366 COVID-19 cases. In its 4 p.m. bulletin, the Department of Health, or DOH, said the latest tally pushed the country's tally of active cases to 148,594 and the total confirmed cases nationwide to 1,976,202. Two accredited testing laboratories failed to submit their data on time. Of the active cases, 95.7% are mild, 0.97% are moderate, 1.7% are asymptomatic, 1.1% are severe, and 0.6% are in critical condition. The DOH also reported 16,864 new recoveries, bringing the total recovered patients to 1,794,278. Deaths related to COVID-19 infection rose to 33,330 with 222 new fatalities. Meanwhile, the overall global COVID-19 caseload has reached 216,465,714, while the deaths have surged to 4,502,268, according to the Johns Hopkins University. The U.S. is still the worst hit country with the world's highest number of cases and deaths at 38,798,963 and 637,539 respectively. In terms of infections, India follows with 32,737,939 cases and 438,210 deaths. In terms of deaths, Brazil comes second with 579,308 fatalities. For those watching our 24/7 live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notifications. You may also follow us on Facebook.
Infectious disease expert and Department of Science and Technology vaccines expert panel member Dr. Ronchin Solante said they are reviewing what booster shots should be given to healthcare workers and senior citizens who had been fully vaccinated with Sinovac. Aiko Miguel details why.
Dr. Ronchin Solante cited a recent study in Thailand about the efficacy of Sinovac inoculated to healthcare workers against the original strain of COVID-19 and other variants of concern. The study showed that the level of protection against the Delta variant was only at 48.33%. This is below the World Health Organization's efficacy rate, which is at 50%. But Dr. Solante clarifies COVID-19 vaccines' efficacy rate vary and are all reduced against Delta variant.
there is really a universal reduce in the efficacy with the Delta variant. And that reduction in the efficacy is not only unique with Sinovac or in Sputnik, even with Pfizer and Moderna, there's also a decrease in the efficacy.
He said Sinovac can still give protection against severe COVID-19 infection, but booster shots are needed after 6 months.
If you are vaccinated now with Sinovac, your vaccine can still protect you against this Delta or variants of concern. No? But the question now is, how about if those individuals who are fully vaccinated 6 months ago, definitely there is already waning immunity, and that waning immunity will translate to decreased effective ability of this vaccine to protect us from COVID-19.
On the other hand, the Health Department emphasized that all COVID-19 vaccines available in the country are effective against COVID-19 variants, including Sinovac. The DOH blasts former NTF against COVID-19 Special Advisor and Health Reform Advocate, Dr. Anthony Leachon's statement that only COVID-19 vaccines manufactured by Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Moderna, Janssen, and Bharat Biotech are effective against the Delta variant. Undersecretary Vergere insists all vaccines procured by the government are safe, effective, and can give protection against severe and critical COVID-19 infection, hospitalization, and death of an individual due to COVID-19.
Just recently, may lumabas po sa Lancet publication, around 10,000 samples or individuals inoculated with Sinovac at nagpakita po na 100% effectiveness against severe infections. At yun naman po talaga ang gusto natin at nakikita natin din dito sa ating bansa na ang Sinovac is protecting our population.
Health experts stand firm that COVID-19 vaccines give another layer of protection against COVID-19 variants. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And in other news, the Bureau of Quarantine eyes integrating yellow card and vaccine certificate PH as a proof of vaccination for travelers and a means of convenient international travel. The BOQ will also implement the use of One Health Pass for travelers entering the country starting September 1. Marvin Callas gives us the details.
The National Digital Vaccine Certificate or VaxCertPH is different from the Bureau of Quarantine or BOQ's International Certificate of Vaccination or Yellow Card. The Digital Vaccination Certificate aims to unify different vaccine cards used nationwide, while the Yellow Card is mainly for travel. However, Bureau of Quarantine Director Dr. Roberto Salvador Jr. sees the possible integration of both certificate into a single vaccination pass.
Magtutulungan po ang VaxCert at ang Yellow Card po. In time po, baka po dumating yung time na i-integrate yung VaxCert doon sa Yellow Card natin po. So, malaking tulong din po yung VaxCert natin, especially po pagka na-recognize na siya ng country of destination, kaya natatanggapin na pagka may mga hawak na VaxCert po sa COVID certification po natin.
The DICT earlier announced to start releasing the VaxCertPH in the first week of September. Meanwhile, the BOQ obliged all passengers entering the country to register at the One Health Pass website starting September 1. This after the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases or IATF approved its use for a faster, convenient, and coordinated process of travel in the country.
Paperless na from the point of origin po, mag-register na sila doon sa electronic health declaration checklist, and sa pamamagitan po ng pag-register ng isang registration lang po, dire-diretso na po ito na maipapasa sa lahat ng mga ahensya na tumutulong po sa pag-aasikaso sa mga kababayan nating umuwi sa Pilipinas, tulad po ng OWA, ng Department of Tourism, ng Marina, ng PCG, at ng OSS.
Returning overseas Filipino workers may register online at www.onehealthpass.com.ph 3 days before the scheduled flight to the Philippines. An electronic health declaration checklist is needed to be secured at the airport or before checking in for a flight. A passenger will receive a QR code once the registration is completed. Marvin Callas, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Partido Demokratiko Pilipino Lakas ng Bayan, Cusi Group, appealed to Senator Christopher Bong Go to reconsider his decision to decline the endorsement for him to run for president in the 2022 polls. Meanwhile, the group of Senator Manny Pacquiao says he's ready to run as an independent should the Commission on Elections and the Supreme Court rule in favor of the other faction. Arlene Delgado will give us the details.
In his response letter to Senator Christopher Bong Go, Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi says although they understand the position of the senator, they are still determined to endorse him as the party's standard bearer. According to Cusi, they trust and believe in Go's leadership qualities, calling him the best candidate to run with President Duterte. Yesterday, President Duterte was replaced by Senator AQUINO Pimentel III as the new party chairman after the group of Senator Pacquiao held a National Council meeting. However, the Cusi wing calls it a comedy, maintaining that President Duterte will continue to be their party chairman. Meanwhile, Ron Munsayak of the Pacquiao-Pimentel group says their members are in support of Pacquiao to be the party's standard bearer.
Hindi niya po iiwan yung PDP laban. Yung consequence lang naman po talaga is kung hindi po pumanig yung COMELEC at yung Supreme Court sa amin ay magiging independent po siya. So talagang dito mo makikita yung tibay ng prinsipyo ni Senator Manny Pacquiao.
Munsayak adds they are also considering various names for their senatorial slate.
May mga incumbent senators, may mga returning senators, may mga new names na very, very winnable and very, very popular.
The faction of Cusi will hold its National Assembly on September 8, while the group of Pacquiao and Pimentel will be on the third week of September, where both groups will vote for and reveal their final candidates for the upcoming polls. Jorge Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Election fever is just around the corner, and despite the politicking of those interested to join the polls, a former Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio urges the youth to participate in the upcoming 2022 elections. Dante Amento tells us why.
Isambayan lead convener and retired Supreme Court Magistrate Antonio Carpio believes that youth will make the difference in the 2022 elections. Based on COMELEC data, over 4 million of the registered voters are new voters. That is why it is imperative that our youth make themselves heard and heard aloud and clear in the next elections. The outcome of the elections will determine the future of our country, which means the future of our youth. For the future of our country belongs to our youth. Carpio warns the youth that millions will be jobless if they fail to choose deserving political leaders in the years to come.
Many of the first-time voters among our youth are also the new graduates of 2020 and 2021. A majority of them cannot find employment amidst the greatest contraction of our economy since the end of World War II.
Just recently, Isambayan made alliances with other youth groups, such as from different schools in the country. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Malacanang still lets the Office of the Ombudsman decide whether to release to the public or not the statements of assets, liabilities, and net worth or SALN of President Rodrigo Duterte. The palace made a statement following Vice President Leni Robredo's challenge for the president to release his SALN publicly. But according to presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, the president has complied with his constitutional duty to submit his SALN. He also advised interested parties to write formal communication to the Office of the Ombudsman to ask for the copy of the Chief Executive's SALN. The Philippine government, particularly the economic managers, need to adapt on the changing global economy. This after the country has been included as one of the troubled markets vulnerable to changes in monetary policy in the United States and China. Nelma Ribuhok has the details live. So now, what will be the impact of these changes in our economy?
Yes, Arlene, according to financial analyst and economist Astro Del Castillo, a monetary policy can have a significant impact on investment portfolios of foreign investors. Thus, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas needs to adjust on changing global economies.
Ang Amerika, pag nagtaas ng interest rate, magkakaroon ng dapat na tamang adjustment rin ng ating Bangko Sentral para mahikayat pa rin ang mga investments dito sa ating bansa. No? Madami kasing datos na kailangan balansingin. No? Inflation, balance of trade, no? Balance of payments.
Japan's Global Investment Bank, Nomura, has tagged the Philippines as one of the troubled 10 in emerging markets amid the potential of normalizing monetary policy in the United States and China's weakening economy. Nomura chief economist Rob Subaraman said that 10 economies are especially vulnerable to debt problems, capital flight, and large fiscal and current accounts deficits. But Del Castillo is confident that government can manage the debt and other indicators that can affect the economy.
Tingin naman natin kaya pa naman, no? Tolerable pa naman sila, medyo nag-express na ng concern. Ito ay natural kasi may pandemya, kailangan talaga mangutang ang gobyerno. Hindi lang gobyerno natin ang ganyan, ha? Lahat ng gobyerno ay umutang dahil sa pandemya.
Despite this, he advised the present administration to look for other sources of funds amid the growing need for government's COVID-19 response.
So talagang nagkakaroon ng mas malaking concern sa pangungutang kaysa sa collection. So kailangan palakasin pa rin ang collection. Kailangan natin maghanap ng other sources of revenues.
The economic managers earlier expressed optimism that the economy will be back in pre-pandemic level before the year 2022 ends or early 2023. Arlene?
Thank you, Nel Maribahog, reporting live. For those watching us on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook.
The Philippine National Police Internal Affairs Service recommendation on the dismissal of the 5 cops involved in the killings of Calbayog City Mayor Ronaldo Aquino has yet to reach the office of the Chief PNP. Leah Ilagan details why.
Philippine National Police Chief Police General Guillermo Eleazar in a text message said that recommendation papers are still in the office of the Directorate for Personnel and Records Management Discipline Law and Order Division or DPRM DLOD. The PNP Internal Affairs Service sought the approval for the dismissal of Lieutenant Colonel Harry Sucaire, Lieutenant Colonel Cyril Tan, Lieutenant Julio Armeza Jr., Staff Sergeant Neil Cebu, and Corporal Edsel Omega for their involvement in the killing of Calbayog City Mayor Ronaldo Aquino in March. This was after investigations revealed that the mayor was indeed ambushed contrary to claims of policemen that there was a shootout.
May sadya silang barilin, nakikita naman dahil 267 yung tama nung sinasakyan ni Mayor. Tapos mayroon pa sa windshield na siyam at malapitan. So ibig sabihin, nag-corroborate nga doon sa previous statement na 2 years ago na ililiquidate nga si Mayor kasi yung manner nga ng attack.
Aside from this, the suspects failed to explain why their 2 slain companions wore bonnets.
So hindi na ma-explain yun. Kaya versus direct testimony and scientific evidence versus na alibay ng mga ng nila Sucaire. Kaya talo po sila. At pangatlo, substantial evidence lang naman yung admin. Kaya enough to convict him na talagang is an ambush o to liquidate Mayor nga yung hindi shootout.
16 other policemen are acquitted in administrative case. Leah Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Hong Kong government has temporarily banned Philippine Airlines from operating flights into the country. This was after 3 of the 7 COVID-19 imported cases came from Manila via the airline's flight PR 300. Turkish Airlines was also given the same sanction for carrying other passengers who were later tested positive from the virus. The 2-week ban, which took effect on Sunday, August 29, is set to end on September 11.
And for the news abroad, an unmanned U.S. drone fires airstrikes at potential Afghanistan Islamic State affiliate. Suicide bomber suspected of launching another attack. Marvi Delfin tells us the details live. Marvi?
Mariel, the U.S. launched a second airstrike on a suspected vehicle carrying a group of suicide bombers planning to attack the Kabul airport. The blast was witnessed on Sunday in a local neighborhood located northwest of the international airport and has reportedly killed children, according to an Afghan police chief. With only just 2 days left ending the 20-year-long war, evacuating thousands of civilians and withdrawing final troops, U.S. President Biden vows to maintain airstrikes, warning that another attack was possible. On the other hand, the Taliban have gradually increased its forces around the airport, reinforcing road blockages and checkpoints on the way to the airport. Biden has ordered commanders to double the protection of U.S. forces on the ground amidst potential retaliation attacks. Mariel?
Marvi, after the United States pulls out from Afghanistan, will those people wanting to leave Afghanistan still be able to?
Mariel, Jen Psaki, the press secretary, explains that those American citizens and Afghans with visas will be able to leave Afghanistan with coordination of the Taliban. Back to you, Mariel.
Thank you, Marvi Delfin, reporting live. A campaign event for Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was delayed for 2 hours Friday and was eventually cancelled over angry coronavirus protesters. Ruth Bahe tells us why live. Yes, Ruth, good evening.
Ariel, furious protesters had gathered at Bolton, Ontario, Canada Friday to rally against Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, prompting the Liberal leader to cancel the campaign over safety concerns. Dozens of protesters who opposed masks, vaccines, and lockdown measures chanted expletives and waved their middle finger against the Prime Minister. Some have brought their children to yell at Trudeau. Demonstrators were particularly angry over the government's approach to vaccines as Prime Minister Trudeau announced earlier this month that people would be banned from boarding any plane, train, or cruise ship unless they are fully vaccinated. However, Prime Minister Trudeau said that they must meet the anger of the crowd with compassion and deem it necessary to call off the event to avoid putting people at risk. Meanwhile, Jagmeet Singh, leader of the New Democratic Party, tweeted that he was sorry for the Liberal Party's postponed campaign and said that everyone deserves to be safe on the campaign trail. Prior to his electoral event in Bolton, Trudeau was met by anti-vaccine protests in Surrey. Prime Minister Trudeau, who stressed the importance of getting vaccinated, promised $1 billion program to assist provinces pay for vaccine passports if he's re-elected. In a video posted on his Twitter account, he said that people must step up in doing their part to get through the pandemic.
Thousands upon thousands of kids across the country depend on adults doing their part and getting vaccinated, on making the smart choices to keep each other safe. So it's not just about you.
Back to you, Marielle.
Thank you, Ruth Bahe, for that live report. Hurricane Ida quickly becomes one of the most powerful storms to hit the USA, landing on the same area as Hurricane Katrina 16 years ago. Queenie Rivera will tell us why live. Yes, Queenie, please go ahead.
Marielle, Hurricane Ida on Sunday was categorized as a dangerous and catastrophic level 4 storm, with winds intensifying up to 230 kilometers per hour within the span of just 3 days. It is now the 5th strongest hurricane in the U.S. to date. Ida tore across the coast of the state of Louisiana and Mississippi on the same date and place where Hurricane Katrina left its mark 16 years ago. Governor John Bell Edwards of Louisiana told the Associated Press that they do not normally expect this kind of storm. He added that Ida's current path is the worst possible path for Louisiana. The immediate intensification of the Ida's winds hindered the emergency evacuation of thousands of residents. Ida's heat brought all power to the city of New Orleans down. Roofs were blown off buildings, and Mississippi's river flow was reversed. U.S. President Joe Biden was able to put plans ahead of Ida's arrival after experiencing the damage brought by Hurricane Katrina. Biden had approved emergency declarations for the state and deploying help before the heat. 2,000 emergency responders together with U.S. Army Corps of Engineers were sent for power restorations and rescue efforts.
And I want to make sure that we're ready to surge all the response capability that we have to deal with whatever comes next.
Since then, Hurricane Ida has made its way inland and has been downgraded to a Category 1 storm. Marielle?
Thank you, Queenie Rivera, reporting live. Ed Asner, the actor who voiced Carl Fredricksen in the 2009 Disney Pixar movie Up, has died. He peacefully passed on Sunday morning at the age of 91, his family said. In a statement, Pixar said they had a wonderful time working with the veteran actor and that he will remain in their memories for a long time. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Marielle Latoza reporting live from Perth, Australia. Good evening.
As we conclude the National Language Month this August, let us know the difference between Filipino language and Tagalog. JP Nunez reports.
The month of August marks the National Language Month in the Philippines. The annual celebration aims to increase awareness of the different languages found in the country. However, several Filipinos are still confused on our national language. Galcoso Alburo, an educational supervisor for Filipino language, explains the difference between the language Filipino and Tagalog.
Pag sinabi kasi nating wikang Filipino starts with letter F, ang ibig sabihin nito ay pagsasama-sama ng iba't ibang mga wika. Pag tiningnan mo ang ating wikang Filipino, hindi pure Tagalog yan. Iba kasi ang wikang Tagalog sa wikang Filipino. Ang wikang Tagalog ay bahagi lamang ng wikang Filipino.
And with the birth of social media, we see several new words and expressions used by the Generation Z. Some of these are petmalu, lodi, sakalam, and ediwaw. Some see these words as offending to the Filipino language. However, according to Professor Alburo, the new terms only prove that we have a rich linguistic diversity.
Itong nauusong mga termino o ginagamit ng mga kabataan sa ngayon, ang totoo, kahit hindi mga kabataan ay gumagamit din, ay bahagi yan ng pagbabago, pag-agapay ng wika sa pagbago. Sa madaling salita, normal lang ito, no? Normal na nangyayari ito sa lahat ng mga wika sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. So, kung normal na nangyayari ito ay bahagi ng pag-unlad ng wikang Filipino.
This month, the Komisyon sa Wikang Filipino will commemorate the Filipino language and indigenous dialects and decolonize the Filipino mindset from foreign languages. The biggest challenge, however, is the standardization in spelling of Filipino words along with the new terms. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And before we close, we will leave you with the final word, giving glory to God. From the book of Proverbs, chapter 12, verse 25. It says, "Heaviness in the heart of man maketh it stoop, but a good word maketh it glad." And those are the reasons behind the news, August 30, 2021. I am Herlene Delgado.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Malaki po ang paniniwala namin na may problema po tayo sa mismong liderato ng Department of Health, no? Si Secretary Duque at ng iba pa po niyang kasama.
The next elections will determine the future of our country, which means the future of our youth. For the future of our country belongs to our youth. It is imperative that the youth make themselves heard, and heard loud and clear in the next elections.
Itong nauusong mga termino o ginagamit ng mga kabataan sa ngayon, ang totoo kahit hindi mga kabataan ay gumagamit din, ay bahagi yan ng pagbabago, pag-agapay ng wika sa pagbabago. Sa madaling salita, normal lang ito, no? Normal na nangyayari ito sa lahat ng mga wika sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. So, kung normal na nangyayari ito ay bahagi ng pag-unlad ng wikang Filipino.